Good morning. We're live and waiting for your help to catch criminals who commit crimes on your doorstep. Today it's all about people who go the extra mile to help others. Coming up. How low can you go? The burglar who stole charity money and attacked a family pet.
He can't tell me what happened and he can't understand what happened.
And the two super cops, one who found time during a marathon to collar a crook, and the other rammed off his police motorbike during a high-speed chase.
You're watching Crimewatch Roadshow. Hello and welcome to Crimewatch Roadshow. We're out and about with the bobbies on the beat, helping them to nick some criminals. Also, on today's programme, the science of lying. We'll be finding out how this technology, originally developed for the Hollywood film industry, can detect whether someone is telling the truth. And the feisty pensioner who shouted a few choice words at her mugger.
I screamed and I also swore at him. He wouldn't like the neighbours to hear what I said.
The Roadshow team have travelled to Essex and the seaside resort of Clacton-on-Sea. Good morning, Jean.
Morning, Rav. Today I'm finding out about the devastation that can be caused by these, and the surprising way that art is being used in the fight back against knife crime.
But first this morning, a heartless thief who stopped at nothing to get his hands on a charity's cash. For Rachel Steele, running is a way of life.
I've been running probably for about 4 years. It's quite a good stress buster, just going out and clearing my head for an hour.
And her dog Monty is her most reliable training partner.
Such a lively dog. So he likes the sound of his own voice and he likes to bark at everything. He's a typical Jack Russell.
When Rachel turned 30, she decided it was time for a new challenge.
I was determined to get a place for this year's London Marathon.
The charity she decided to run for was one very close to her heart.
I came across Look, who help families of children with visual impairments. I myself, my right eye and my optic nerve never developed before I was born, so all I can see out of that eye is colour. They didn't know what was wrong with me, and it was quite hard getting the support. So when I saw that charity and actually they offered me a space, I thought it just seemed like a perfect match.
Rachel fundraised hard alongside the gruelling training plan.
I organised a charity night and we did a raffle and an auction. In cash I had about £700.
On the 26th of April, Rachel joined 38,000 other runners to complete the 26.2 miles from Blackheath to the Mall.
It was just such a buzzing atmosphere, it was crazy. I was a little bit nervous, but once I started and the crowds just get you round, it was just absolutely fantastic.
And the good cause she was running for spurred her on.
I needed to finish it because I'd, raised this money and I knew that people were counting on me to finish it. That really kept me going.
The following week, with all the training over, everyday life could resume.
It was a normal work day. I'd got up, gone to work normal time.
Rachel left for work at about 11 a.m, leaving Monty home alone and her charity cash on the table.
I didn't think anything of it. To me, it was in my house, it was safe. I didn't question it.
She planned to take it to the bank that weekend, but she never got the chance. Sometime between 11 a.m. and 3:45 p.m, someone smashed through the French doors at the back of Rachel's house.
It was awful. The back door had been smashed, the glass had shattered the whole way across the lounge and down my hallway.
The thieves had ransacked the house, grabbing her iPad, 2 iPods and a laptop. They even took her spare car key and passport.
It was really heartbreaking to walk in and see everything you've worked so hard for just be destroyed so quickly by somebody.
But worse still, the thieves had also taken the £700 of charity cash.
Straight away, it's the first thing I checked when I came in the house, and I knew that it would have gone, and I was absolutely devastated.
It's difficult to say exactly why the house was targeted. People would have would have possibly seen strange people going on, maybe looking at the property, checking it out before they go in. Burglary is a distressing crime for everyone involved, and stealing money from a charity is especially despicable.
Rachel's insurance meant she could replace the stolen goods, but the most devastating news was still to come.
Monty was in the kitchen when I got home, but he was very distressed and barking a lot and shaking. Very quickly, over the course of a couple of days, he went rapidly downhill. Initially, I thought maybe it was stress, and so I took him to the vets, and they said that he had taken a blow of some description, whether it was a kick or a hit.
Monty was put on medication, but is still not back to his former self.
He is traumatised, bless him, and he's shaking a lot.
It's a double blow for Rachel as she tries to get over the shock of the burglary.
It has been quite unnerving since then, being at home by myself with Monty, knowing that somebody's been in here. He can't tell me what happened and he can't understand what happened. I think it's one thing to break into somebody's home and steal things, but it's another thing completely to hurt an animal and do something like that.
And Rachel is with me now, but sadly, Rachel, no Monty, because he's just not well enough.
He's not. He's much better than he was, but he's still not 100%, unfortunately.
We're really sad to hear that, because we couldn't use Monty in the reconstruction. We had to use a stand-in from the local dogs trust, because obviously at that time he was in a bad way, because obviously he'd been injured in this.
He had, on the day of the reconstruction, he was in the vets, so he was far too unwell. But as I say, he is much better now than he was.
Well, that's good news. We do wish him a speedy recovery.
Thank
Obviously,
you.
You'd worked so hard for this £700 and you just couldn't hand it over.
No, I couldn't. The £700 was taken from my house, but luckily, with the power of social media, I managed to raise more than that, and it was in excess of £1,200 that I managed to get back on my Just Giving page following the burglary.
That is brilliant. So some positive news there, and also positive news on the fact that Patch, our stand-in dog from the reconstruction, has found a new home, so that's all good. Well, let's go and talk to another marathon fan now, because it's a fantastic morning for jogging along the beach, guys. Alex, tell me what happened when you went to take part in a marathon in New York.
Well, we were out there as part of Jack's Pack, which is raising money for jack.org, which is raising money for rare children's cancer, which is neuroblastoma. And we go out there to do a number of fundraising involving a plane pool, half marathon and a 5K.
So you were running in this marathon, and then what happened?
About 10 miles into the run, just casually pacing through, and I noticed someone coming running across the fields. I thought, that's not quite right. And I noticed two NYPD officers giving chase. And I think it just instinct kicked in. I decided to get involved, give chase, and rugby tackled him to the ground.
Amazing. I mean, Carl, you were there as well. Did you know what was going on?
Not at all. I completed a lap, and so I got on to the 10-mile mark, and everyone's talking about how he's run after some suspect, apprehended them on behalf of the NYPD.
What, and you didn't even raise a sweat, I guess, in all of this?
Well, a little bit of a sweat. Give me a chance for a breather.
OK, amazing story there. And it really shows that wherever they are in the world, they're never off duty, are they, Rav?
Absolutely, good work. Next up, the science of lying. Dr. Sophie van der Zee from Cambridge University's computer lab is on the front line of lie detecting technology, using a piece of kit developed for the Hollywood film industry. Now, good morning, Sophie. The traditional type of lie detector that we might have seen on films or TV is the polygraph. It's been around for about 80 years or so. So what's different about this new technology?
So the polygraph measures sort of a physiological stress response in the body. You can measure that through blood rates, blood pressure, heart rate, respiration. And it's sort of based on the idea that liars have a different emotional response than truth-tellers do, but not every liar does. And sometimes truth-tellers actually experience a lot of stress as well.
OK, so what does your suit do that's different?
So our suit measures body movements, and those body movements are not caused by stress and anxiety, which means it protects sort of the innocent people.
OK, we can actually see the suit now. This is one of our staff members, Johnny, who's in the suit there, moving around. So how does it actually work?
There are 17 inertial sensors on the body. That's the small orange boxes. And it sort of sends data through our laptop. And from that data, we can create a 3D image, as you can see on the computer screen at the moment, the skeleton man. And we sort of measure pose at a specific time frame, and then we compare the pose against the next time frame, and that way we can get a full body movement measure, and then we compare the truths with the lies.
And that's what's the information that you analyse.
Yes.
OK, sounds interesting. Now, obviously, I had to have a go, didn't I? So yesterday, you helped me put the suit on. Here we go. You can see me getting suited up. That's me sitting down, and you interview me.
Yes.
And now you said that I had to have two different stories. One was going to be the truth, one was going to be a lie. The first, you're asking me about what I did the night before, so I was telling you I was watching a film in the hotel. The second story, you asked me about what food I had that day, and I told you I had bananas, I had yoghurt, and that's it. Now, from those two stories, did you get any indication from my body movements in that suit as to which one might be the truth and which one might be a lie?
So first of all, you don't move that much in general. But there was a difference between the two stories that you told. And you moved more when you were talking about what you were eating in the morning rather than what movie you were watching. OK, well, that's quite interesting because the one where I was eating wasn't exactly the whole truth. I told you I had bananas, I told you I had yoghurt, when in fact there was one more thing that I did eat, I think we can see here. This is me sneaking into the next dressing room and stealing their grapes. Yeah, master criminal, I know. Perfect.
So yeah, your information actually got that. It's pretty spot on, because that's the truth. But on a serious note, there are obviously some good uses that this technology could be used for. And tell us who you've been speaking to.
Yeah, so we've been so far testing it in the lab, and we're still developing everything. But we are in contact with our local police about starting to test this on sex offenders who have an interview to see if they can go on parole or not. So hopefully we can start testing it in practice very soon.
A really serious and genuine use for it as well. So it sounds fascinating. It really is a fascinating bit of kit. So thank you for joining us, Sophie. And of course, thank you, Johnny, even though I think you are having far too much fun. So we better move on. Still to come on today's programme. Here we go. The hunt for a paedophile. Police reveal the tactics being used by a man targeting boys in Clacton.
I thought he was just a normal person. He just wanted directions, you know. I just tried to help him.
And we'll be on the front line with officers as they battle to keep Essex seaside towns drug-free.
We found what we believe to be a dealer's stash here, probably crack cocaine, possibly even heroin.
As we saw earlier, being in the police means you have to be ready for anything. And no one knows that better than the motorbike cop in our next film.
The Dartford crossing is one of the busiest crossings in the United Kingdom. With an average daily use of 130,000 vehicles, policing it can be tough, as PC Paul Hills knows only too well.
Day to day, we don't know what we're going to get. Could end up dealing with a crash involving a family, just trying to get home from an airport, or you could end up dealing with stolen vehicles and dealing with suspects from all manner of offences.
Today, PC Hills is part of a team on a road operation targeting dangerous and illegal vehicles. With so much traffic, being on a bike makes all the difference.
Motorbikes are very important to us here on this sort of operation. They've got the speed and the ability to manoeuvre through the traffic, because we do get heavy traffic down here on the A13 and the M25, and they effectively feed the site with offenders or vehicles of interest to be dealt with by the officers on the ground.
A car that's travelling without valid insurance catches the team's attention. The driver of this car cooperated fully with the police officer's request, and his car was towed away. But some criminals will stop at nothing to avoid being caught. In January this year, PC Hills was on the A13 when a BMW joined the carriageway.
I saw a vehicle into the A13 at excess speed, in a 50-mile-an-hour limit. I followed it for well over a mile, reaching speeds of up to 130 miles an hour.
The car moved into the inside lane and PC Hills pulled in front, indicating to the driver to follow him. But the BMW soon began to get worryingly close to the rear of his motorbike.
When I tried to brake and slow down, the pushing just kept coming from behind me. I felt a mighty bang from behind.
The bike was pushed for 30 metres by the car.
I can't say the words I used at the time inside my helmet, but I was screaming.
The driver tried to run PC Hills over again before making his escape. But he didn't get far. After crashing into a wall, he made a run for it, but was quickly apprehended.
It subsequently transpires that the vehicle was stolen on false plates and the driver was unlicensed and uninsured.
18-year-old Martin Galbraith admitted attempted grievous bodily harm with intent and was jailed for 6 years. PC Hills suffered back injuries and had to have extensive rehab.
It's not something you routinely plan for, and the phone call to my wife was the worst call I've ever made, I think. I couldn't do anything about it, and I'm not going to let something like that stop me doing something that I love doing.
So for PC Hills, it's back to business as usual.
Shocking CCTV there, and we've got more for you now in today's roundup of crimes all caught on camera.
It's the early hours of the morning, and two men leave a pub in northeast London. They walk down an alleyway and into the pub car park, where they meet two other men. But it kicks off, and the victim hits the deck. He's punched at least 4 more times and kicked in the head. Eventually he gets to his feet and staggers back to the boozer. Police say these men, filmed earlier that night, are responsible for carrying out this brutal attack. We can't let them get away with it. It's past closing time, but that doesn't matter to these late-night shoppers. They smash their way into an Eastleigh shop and begin stuffing cigarettes into large building supply bags. One guy's feeling lucky and helps himself to scratch cards. But the free-for-all ends when the alarm goes off and the lights come on. Outside, the 5 men jump on motorbikes, dropping one of the bags in their haste. That's found by the shop owner, who's still in his dressing gown. In all, 865 quid's worth of cigarettes were stolen. Think you know any of these biker bandits, especially the one in the middle? Then get on the phone. Now this fella likes to travel light, except when he's got someone else's luggage. Police say he gets on board the 7:36 a.m. Grantham to Newcastle train with 2 black cases. At least one was stolen the day before. He discards one case on a seat and goes back to get the other black one, which he puts in the corridor between the carriages. But his keen eye spots something else, a polka dot case, which he steals from the luggage rack and leaves in the corridor. Inside the spotted case is a laptop with a student's entire coursework on it. At 9:15 he gets off at Durham and walks to the city centre bus station. At 11:30 he catches the number 49A bus with 1 black and 1 spotty case in tow. He must feel pretty chuffed with himself because he gives the camera a toothy grin. 5 minutes later he gets off at Neville's Cross, west of Durham. Come on, let's wipe that smile off his face.
If you recognise any of these, make sure you pick up the phone. You can call us on 08000 468 999. Remember, calls are free from most landlines. Some network and mobile operators will charge for these calls. Or you can text us on 63399. Text CW, space, and then your message. Remember, the space is really important. If you don't put it in, your message won't get through to us. Text will be charged at your standard message rate. You can email us too via cwr@bbc.co.uk, or if you prefer to remain anonymous, you can. Just call Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. Sian.
Rav, like many places, Clacton has seen an increase in knife crime, 188 offences last year alone. But behind every statistic, of course, there is a victim and their families. And Caroline Shearer is with me now. Caroline, thank you so much for coming on the programme to talk about this, because I want to ask you about your son Jay and what happened to him.
Jay was 17. He was going to a private party. We knew where it was. It was in a nice affluent area. He hadn't been out in weeks, so we thought, well, he'll be okay. He wasn't driving. He arrived at the party, and within 10 minutes, it was gate crashed. He was beaten down by 5 boys who stabbed him, and then he tried to get away. They bottled him, and then the final one was they had to get him through the heart.
It's absolutely shocking. I know that one of the knife that was used, a similar one you've got here today, which just really...
This is actually the size of what killed Jay, and the penetration was only there.
Absolutely shocking for you, I know. I mean, you've come through it remarkably, working very much now to try to clamp down on knife crime through this charity that you've set up and a knife amnesty as well, which we're going to talk a bit about that. Tell me about it.
Well, obviously the charity Only Cowards Carry Weapons Awareness. We've looked and we've seen there's no awareness on the school curriculum for any of the children. We've taught over 25,000 children so far. It's education, teaching them at a young age the awareness, and also bringing the knife bins into it. You know, the knives that are being collected, these are just a few within a couple of months just from the Clacton area. We are now going through Essex with all of the knife bins.
Yeah, so this project taking place in Essex, all these knives so far. If you're wondering what happens to them, that's where Alfie comes in. Now, Alfie, hello there. Tell me about the project that you're working on.
Right, so with all these knife amnesty bins supplied by the British Ironworks Centre, free of charge for any police force in the UK, we're collecting all the knives and I'm bleaching them and grinding them all one by one to use them on this 26-foot knife angel.
Right, so tell me about that angel, this sculpture that you're creating, because we can see it now.
Well, you can see the progress of it on Save a Life, Surrender Your Knife or alfieart.com. It's going to be a giant 26-foot knife angel with all the knives welded side by side with all the handles on, so you got all the different contrast, with real hands, face and feet, with 2 massive wings coming down. Amazing project. And Caroline, just to finish with you, you are launching more bins today.
Absolutely. 2 for Chelmsford, 1 for Braintree, 1 for Attlesford, and we just encourage everybody to dispose of your knives. They are potential weapons. Please put them in the allocated bins throughout Essex.
Absolutely. Spot on the message there. Thank you very much. Rav, back to you.
Now, figures released today by the NSPCC show the number of recorded sexual offences against children in England and Wales has increased by 1/3. It's a shocking statistic, and now police in Essex need your help to catch a serial sex attacker in Clacton who's targeting boys.
Clacton-on-Sea, a classic destination for holidaymakers. But having seaside attractions on the doorstep wasn't enough of a temptation to get teenager Dan out of the house. We have anonymised the victims of this crime to protect their identity.
It was a nice sunny day out, so I said, come on, it will do you good to get out with your friends and you'll enjoy the film.
I didn't really want to go because I wasn't really in the mood.
I gave him some money and off he went and watched him walk up the road.
Friends had planned to go to a matinee to celebrate a birthday. The cinema was less than a 10-minute walk away.
I said to him, what time are you back? He said, film starts at 4. I think he said 4. He'd be back at 6, but he'd let me know. Ring me or text me when he's on his way back.
After the film, the teenager's walk home was in the opposite direction to his friends.
I think I texted my mum to say I was on my way home. She said okay.
I text back, good, I'm just dishing up dinner. Good timing.
Halfway home on the main road, he was stopped by a man asking directions. He didn't seem to know he was in Clacton.
I thought he was just a normal person. He just wanted directions, you know. I just tried to help him.
With the puzzled teenager engaged in conversation, the man then made a strange request.
He said, his exact words were, "Is it alright if you can come and block me while I go for a whiz?" I didn't really see a problem with it, so I said okay.
The pair left the main road into an off-street car park for the man to take a leak.
As he was looking for a place, the light flashed on, which startled him.
The man had triggered the car park security light. It forced him to look for another spot to pee. Further down the side street, he found a secluded bush.
As he was telling me to come closer, and I was, like, disagreeing,
The man turned round and exposed himself.
I was obviously disgusted. I mean, it was so unexpected.
But the ordeal wasn't over yet. The man insisted he'd found a better spot down a dark lane across the road. Fearing what would happen if he refused, the teenager reluctantly followed him.
In my head, I was just trying to figure out ways to get out. We both crossed the road at the same time. To keep my distance, I blocked us off between a car.
As the man turned his back to walk into the alley, the boy saw his chance and ran away. It took a moment for his attacker to realise he was alone, and then he too fled.
As he runs across the road, there is quite heavy traffic, and you can see on the CCTV that he's nearly hit by a car as he runs across the road. He's clearly panicked. For me, I'd urge that if you were driving in Clacton on the 18th of October to St Joseph Road and you recall someone running out in front of you, to contact us.
Dan ran the rest of the way home.
He fell through the front door in a panic. He was out of breath.
I was a bit shaky, and they wondered what was the matter.
And he put his hand up as if to say, like, stop, give me a minute.
And that's when I told them.
Knowing something was wrong, I was quite panicked, and he said one word, paedophile, and I jumped up out of my seat, really shocked, just shocked, horrified. I was so angry.
This ordeal was just one of about 20 similar incidents Essex police are linking to the same man, and suspect there may be many more.
I'm sure there'll be other boys out there that this man has approached, may have said something that seems silly, or am I in Colchester, knowing that he was in Clacton, may have asked him to shield him while he went go for a whiz and used that word. And if you have been approached by this male and you haven't come forward, then please do, because you may hold that piece of information that we need.
The teenager's mother blames herself for what happened to her son.
I felt guilty as a parent because I was the one that encouraged him to go out. If I hadn't done that, this wouldn't have happened.
And DI Leighton Hammett, who's leading this investigation, is with me now. Unfortunately, not an isolated incident, this one.
No, that's correct. We've got 23 linked incidents that we're investigating, and most of them seem to appear between August and October, and obviously August is now approaching us.
Absolutely. The first time, though, on Crimewatch Roadshow now today, you're able to give us some more information, aren't you?
I am. I'd like to release the MO, the method in which this person operates. They're quite detailed in what they do. They approach young men, ask them a question. It would appear stupid, like, am I in Colchester, knowing that they're in Clacton? They will then ask them to shield them while they go to the toilet. And when they're doing that, they use the word whiz quite a lot.
Now, it's very worrying, these series of offences. I know you've put a lot of work into this, haven't you? What have you been able to do and find out?
Well, we've used a lot of agencies to help us here, and one of them is a geographic analysis, and what that's told us is the offending is in a quite tight area of about a mile squared from St Joseph Road in Clacton.
So we've got that map that shows that particular area, and also the description of the man that you are particularly looking for, that you have been able to build up. You've got an EFIT, haven't you?
We have, yeah. The descriptions are quite similar across the victims, and he's described between 6 and 6'2" tall, stocky build with a broad London accent, white male, and it's been described with spots or potting to his face.
OK. The worrying thing is, though, of course, there could be more victims.
There could be. I'm sure there would have been people out there that have been approached by this male and have disregarded what you've said and carried on their journey, but they may hold vital information, so it's really key that if you feel you've been approached by this male in the method that I've described, please come forward.
Absolutely, and if you can help with this one, please do get in touch. And if you've been a victim of crime, you can go to our website and there'll be links to other organisations that can help you.
Now it's time to have a look at today's wanted faces, and police forces around the country are asking for your help to find these men. Take a look at today's first face, Richard Mason. He was jailed in 2009 after police found more than 100 grand's worth of Class A and B drugs at his home. He was released early from a 6-year sentence, but he didn't keep to the terms of his licence and has been on the run for the last year. Look out for him in the London and Skipton areas. He's a distinctive-looking fella with very long hair and crooked, irregular teeth. Police in North Wales need your help to find this man. This is Raj Viswanathan. They're looking to question him after a fraud which left one victim bankrupt and another needing to sell his home. He goes by an exotic series of alternative names, including Alexandre de Beaumont, David Waterman and Rajiv. He's got a London accent and links to North Wales, London and Manchester. And next up is this man. This is Sahil Raja. The Met Police want to find him for questioning after officers found Class A and B drugs, a baseball bat, a knife and a large amount of cash in a car. Raja has been wanted since September. He has links to the Ilford and Stratford areas of East London and speaks with a London accent. And last up for today anyway is Oliver Hargreaves. Police in Lincolnshire are keen to speak to him after 2 house burglaries. Hargreaves is a tall guy with a large muscular build and has tribal tattoos on his right arm and shoulder. He's from the Snaith area of Yorkshire but also has links to Leeds, Selby, Humberside and Lincolnshire. So, if you know where any of this lot are, make sure you pick up the phone. Call now on the usual number 08000 468 999 or text us 63399. Of course, you can email us to the address cwr@bbc.co.uk.
Now, Clacton has long been a magnet for day trippers wanting to escape the city. But not everyone who visits does so with good intentions. Essex's proximity to London makes it a magnet for drug dealers who want to expand their territory. The county's police force are determined to stem the flow and have launched Operation Saturn. Today, uniformed and plain-clothed officers are being briefed on a raid.
Just to give you a bit of background on the situation in Clacton, a very prominent market for drug dealers arriving from London to run their county lines, the drug lines into certainly North Essex and Clacton.
The target is a suspected Class A drug dealer.
Be vigilant at all times, you know that, in possession of all your gear and stab vests and that, you know that as well. All persons to be secured and, as I say, handcuffing is justified.
Operation Saturn was launched after intelligence suggested sales of illegal drugs were generating more than £4,000 a day in each major town within the area. The officers, led by Superintendent Ewan Wilson, have to prepare for any and every eventuality.
You never know what you're going to find when you come into these premises. We've got large parrots, pug dogs and all sorts, but no persons on the premises. We're nevertheless going to conduct a search, and we've already found what appears to be herbal cannabis.
A painstaking search of the bedroom turns up some baseball bats. Downstairs in the living room, the team make a major discovery.
A lot of effort goes into these operations, and sometimes you find that you don't find anything. Really pleased today that our officers, good work, we found what we believe to be a dealer's stash here. It looks like a combination of cannabis resin, probably crack cocaine, possibly even heroin. So we'll obviously seize that and continue our search, and hopefully we might find more.
There's still no sign of the householder.
We've now deployed some of our officers in the nearby streets in order that they can identify the individual if he comes back.
And their hunch pays off as they locate the suspect nearby.
That's what we believe to be the resident of the premises. Pulled up outside, then shot round the corner at some speed. Hence we made chase and we've caught him round the corner. OK, he's now under arrest. He's now going to be taken back to the police station where he'll be booked in and processed on suspicion of dealing Class A drugs.
The drugs were later confirmed as heroin, crack cocaine and cannabis, with an estimated street value of almost £3,000.
I would say a good day's work for Essex Police and the Saturn team, but we'll move on to the next one for tomorrow.
And I'm joined now by Superintendent Ewan Wilson from Operation Saturn and by Doug Eyre as well. Now, Ewan, first of all, we saw you in the film. You recovered Class A drugs.
Right.
Also, though, you can find weapons, you can find cash. Yeah. I mean, what do you do with those things?
Well, some of them, by the very nature, will be destroyed, like a lot of the weapons. But other times, as well as for forensic analysis, if they're evidence, we might seek an order in the court under the Proceeds of Crime Act. So actually, we're taking money from the villain, reinvesting in the business of policing.
And with something like this is a new thing that you're doing, isn't it?
That's right, Sean. Around the nighttime economy, so the pubs and clubs, We're encouraged, we're purchasing a number of these kits, simple kits, little sachet there.
It's just a wipe, really.
That's right. It's used to detect anything with a cocaine base. So very useful for making sure that nightclubs and pubs aren't allowing people to use illicit drugs. If you wipe a surface and it's got cocaine, as you can see, it goes blue immediately. So it's really, really quick.
Absolutely instant. And another bit of kit here as well. Now, I have already been drug tested on this bit of kit this morning. We're just going to run through it quickly. What happens, Doug?
Right, well, that's the collection device, which you need to put in your mouth and swab around.
Yeah, OK.
Thank you. And just insert it into the machine, and then that will give us a result in approximately 2.5 minutes.
OK, so that went into the machine like that. So it does take 2.5 minutes to do this, which would be a nervous 2.5 minutes for some people waiting, wouldn't it? But luckily for me today, it wasn't, because what have we got here?
We have your result there, and it's a negative result for cocaine and heroin. So you're perfectly fine. And the people that need to be tested must be over 18, be in police custody and arrested for a trigger offence.
Absolutely. Thank you for explaining that to us. Back to you, Rav.
Now, being mugged in the street is enough to stop anyone in their tracks, but not this plucky pensioner.
84-year-old Dorothy Spriggs has lived in Harlow, Essex for 30 years.
I originally came from Leighton. I was born in Leighton, and then we moved here. People moan about it. I mean, but I say, good heavens, there's worse places to live than Harlow. I got married in 1964. I didn't rush to get married. We were very happy a lot of the time, you know.
Sadly, in the 1980s, Dorothy's husband became ill.
He had Parkinson's disease, and he used to go to a day centre twice a week, which was quite good, so it enabled me to do things like shopping and housework, washing and that.
Since her husband passed away 17 years ago, Dorothy has continued to lead a busy life.
I am quite active, and I quite like walking as well. I do try and get out at least once a day, if it's something or other to go to, you know.
On Valentine's Day this year, Dorothy went out for her usual Saturday shopping trip to Harlow Town Centre.
I quite like going shopping. Like to have a look in the charity shops, you know, not always buying. I'll have a quick look round the other shops. I'm not one to keep buying a load of things that I don't need, not now. I don't spend quite so much time up there as I used to now. I sort of come home a bit earlier.
At about 3 p.m, Dorothy decided to catch the number 8 bus home.
There weren't too many people on the bus, considering it was a Saturday.
From Harlow Town Centre, it's a 20-minute journey to Dorothy's house.
I said thank you very much and got off. I crossed to the other side of the road and then walked home.
Mrs Spriggs, she's 84 years old. She does tend to walk with a stoop and looks quite a small lady, so she does look vulnerable.
A passing driver noticed something wasn't quite right.
So I was coming down the road, I saw Dorothy crossing the road, and I saw a young lad walking behind her, which looked very suspicious. He was quite close behind her, closer than what you would normally walk behind someone, and it just rung alarm bells for me, and I just felt I needed to pull in and watch what he was up to.
I wasn't thinking of anything, just thinking of sort of getting home, you know. And I didn't hear any footsteps. This person must have come up behind me and grabbed my handbag and was off in a split second, more or less.
The person who committed this offence took the bag, but Mrs Spriggs, being a feisty lady, held on to it as much as she could, and she did end up with an injury to her hand.
I tried to chase him, and I screamed, and I also swore at him, but of course he wouldn't have heard it. He wouldn't like the neighbours to hear what I said.
Carol witnessed the attack and rushed to Dorothy's side to make sure she was okay.
Why pick on anybody, especially somebody like Dorothy, who does look vulnerable.
I could have been very badly hurt. He could have pushed me down. I could have had a broken leg, a broken arm or anything. They got away with about £35 and my keys and a small key ring that had a picture of my husband in it that I always carried. If people started talking about their husbands, I would get it out my bag and say, oh, that was my husband, you know. I'm a bit, what I would say, apprehensive for going out. Now, am I going to be all right? Is it going to happen to me again? But it hasn't. I'm determined to go out and not let it stop me from going out. But I mean, I'm annoyed to think that it actually happened to me and that they could do such a thing.
Yeah, and you can't fail to be touched by Dorothy's story. DC Laura Cuthbert joins me now. Now, Laura, we've got some CCTV footage now to show something new, haven't we? The getaway here.
Yes, we have. The witnesses described the vehicle as a black 1 Series BMW. Now we see the CCTV footage. You can see it's got very distinctive 5-spoke alloy wheels.
And we really want to catch this man. Give us the description of him and the e-fit that you've got.
Yes, witnesses have come forward and the description is a young male, white male, 15 to 18 years old, dark hair. He was wearing a hoodie, but they did get some facial picture from him.
Absolutely. Well, let's hope that somebody recognises him, because not only was money taken, but also something of great sentimental value to Dorothy.
Yes, that's right. Dorothy didn't have any children. It was just her and her husband. And he died some years ago, but in that bag was one of the remaining photographs that she has of her husband.
Now, she comes across as a strong character. I know that you know her, but how's she doing now?
She is doing well. The local community have got her out and about again. She's a strong lady. She'll be OK from this, I think.
That is absolutely fantastic news. And actually, I do know that Dorothy is watching the show this morning. So from all of us on the Crimewatch Roadshow team, Dorothy, we are sending you our very best wishes.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, time for a quick update on your calls. And we start with news of another arrest after Monday's appeal about the man who had part of his ear bitten off in a Putney bar. Well, someone has now handed himself into the police. Good calls too on the terrifying aggravated burglary on a pregnant woman. That was in yesterday's programme. You gave us 2 possible names for the fake police officer whose e-fit we showed you. And after hearing the story of the rental scammer who cheated his victims out of more than 20 grand, lots of you getting in touch saying you've fallen victims to similar cons. We've passed those reports to Action Fraud. Thanks to everyone that's got in touch. Sean, what are you doing tomorrow?
Well, Rav, I will be back in the capital tomorrow in London's Docklands, which is playing host to one of the biggest security shows in Europe. So I'm going to be shown some of the cutting-edge technology that can help keep us all safe. It's very James Bond.
Thank you, Sean. For more details on today's crimes, head to the website. Finally, we'll leave you with another look at the wanted faces, because somebody out there knows where these people are. If you're that person, then call us. Thank you for watching. Until tomorrow, do take care. Bye-bye.